Okay, so let's continue where we picked off. Where we dropped off, I was gonna say. So basically, I've assigned this thing, these three variables. I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna go to my scene, and I'm gonna see that I just copy pasted it from the thing here, and it has them here. What's the point of that? The point is I added, so what I want to do, hold on. I added this clicky thing, right? So, yep, there you go, now it works. So the idea is that this is the player's right hand, and it is supposed to equip it and unequip it. And I'm using Q3, so that's the Godot for delete to do that. The only problem is, down here, I have two ways to control the UI. Either I click or I press a number. And pressing the number does not, it does show something in the thing here, but it doesn't actually, you know, show the UI or do this function. So the problem, that's the problem I was reaching, but at least we got that sorted. So that means that when I click, I still haven't fixed that function, but when I click, it's supposed to check what tool is equipped and then place the mesh instance based on that. And for the mouse preview, when I have it on, I wanted the mouse preview. And obviously there will be another problem because I only packed the mesh instance. I will need to create a dummy collider box and parent them two together. I'll have to do that all inside the script because that is the most lightweight way so that I don't have to pack in a scene here. I could just pack mesh instances. But my goal is to go through eventually the entire thing and pack it somewhere where I don't need to load it and I don't need to overwhelm the GPU and it's not a scene, so that I don't have to have many scenes in my game, because I don't like the clutter that has to be done when you're doing this. But I think this will be inevitable if you're in a real life situation and you're actually using like Unity, for example. I'm gonna assume that this is gonna happen. So let me show you real quick the things we changed in the script. So I added these mesh instances. I was just being a bit cheeky. I did not know if it was gonna work, but it did. And I could show you a little bit if I do this. And you know how there's one that spawns on the player's head. So let me show you real quick. Look at that. This is perfect. So they don't have any collision, but the seed has collision, right? But they don't. So that's actually really nice. And look at this. They collide with the camera. That is so annoying. I think we have to change that. So now something else I realized is that I can no longer scroll. That no longer does anything. So that's interesting. But let's go back and make these invisible. So the seed item, that's just it. It doesn't really add much, but it's good because since I'm already using the add-on has this item texture, and I can just take what I made originally, just 1 second there. I can take what I made originally and just, you know, copy paste it here. So there's that. And then I was working on the inventory controller, a lot of bug fixing, just checking. As you can see, I don't have bugs, I just have some warnings, and they're just that like, are you sure you want to call this? You didn't use this, you didn't use that, I get it. I think this could be the problem. But I don't understand, like, this is something that's funny because when I was showing you in a previous devlog that the cup, it was just going to bump into the cup didn't always move. Sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. It's just random. But anyways, the inventory controller, so we fixed this here. The inventory slot index, I had incorrectly given it a 1. It should be a 0. So the index starts from 0. I renamed this to slot 1. You might want to do that when you get the add-on as well. And then I just did to inventory capacity because obviously I might change how the inventory works in the future. And So there's nothing, no changes here. There are no changes here. Yeah, there's nothing here changed. Yeah, the changes were on this function. So slot on GUI input, which was previously added because when we removed the original function of the add-on that unlocks the mouse, you basically could no longer click on the UI. So as you could, I don't know if you can notice that, but when the game is running and you click on a UI item, I still have that print from the raycast of like, did it hit something, did it not hit something? So if I do, 1 second, let me just see if I can show you the console somehow. Okay, so you can see the console here, right? And when I click on anything, it says here Ray hits nothing, here Ray hits something that's not soil, and then it planted the placeholder. So when I click on the UI, it says equipped slot 1, no item in inventory, Ray hit nothing, right? So I fixed the slot index, and the problem is the slot index does not follow the slot, and I don't know why I'm starting with this confusing system. I might have to refactor this later. The reason why I had this system is because the inventory controller, the player controller, they're two different scripts in the add-on that need to work together because so that I can achieve the effect of you know, doing this, right? Being able to put it on my hand. So those were the two problems I had to face, and now we're getting into actually explaining it. So like, what would happen if I had a UI element on the soil? It would plant something underneath, so it's still checking, right? This is something I didn't fix yet. I just want to get to the point where I'm comfortable and where I can say, okay, now I can start to refactor. But let's bring this back up and let's start working through the code. So you have this slot GUI input. Everything is temporary for now. And then what this does is it checks everything, and then this is the -1 would be like just unequipped. And yeah, so this is a code I also got from somewhere else, and basically you need to go to slot. So if you look at the inventory controller, it has its own script, but then the slots also have scripts, and this is their script. I've added, it just had the set inventory item. This one, obviously that's new. I mean, it's not this episode new, but the problem would be here, right? So now we have the function set equip. This is the stuff I added today, and this is what they do, right? So they just create the border here because I have no idea how UI works. So I had this code basically stripped down to its basics and put in here. And that's what it does. And obviously you need to be able to delete it. That's why there is more code inside the inventory controller. I don't think the inventory controller is the reason why the 3D tools are no longer colliding, but this is where I spent most of my day, right? So you have render inventory slots. That's kind of important. Yeah, obviously, like some of it is already part of the original add-on. Some of it you have to add yourself. Yeah, I think that's most of the changes. It's just that there's some stuff that's not finished, so I can't really go ahead and just do something. But here's the funny thing: there's a signal thing you could do in Godot. Did not know that, but that's what I learned today. That's today's learning, and this will help. This is exactly what I want, so that you can create signals that other things could do, but they don't work like those node signals that like, oh, select this and then you have these special things, right? Yes, they do, but they don't actually, like, you could just write the code inside where you want it to go and just use it as is. So for the player controller, it's not the player. Let me show you right now. You have here, this is the player script, and the player script is empty, like barely nothing. It just connects to the player controller, and then you have the player controller, and that does everything. That's from the add-on, actually. That does everything related to gravity, velocity, jump speed. You know, I'm guessing it's like a basic script he might have gotten from somewhere else because the writing style is a bit different. I added a node called the right hand, which is the target place where you want things to go, because I'm not animating right now. And also this will be the end target place. And maybe there's a left hand, you know, we don't know. So it comes in with a ready, and the ready just has the player velocity is 0. And obviously the physics, which just checks for, you know, it just checks for the gravity. And then these do need refactoring because this is part of those callback stuff that I stitched together, and they call these functions that I then had to define. And I think, could I refactor this? Could I have made it better? I do think so. So I'm also running out of time again for the video, so I guess I'll leave it at that. And let's say once I do find like the not the best way. I'm not really trying to be like the most efficient person on the universe, but I'm trying to make code that I find robust and understandable. And that's why, if you remember from the beginning, we used the camera controller and we packed stuff inside that, and I didn't fix that yet. So I didn't fix it. Yeah, I didn't fix it yet. It has to be somewhere there, but I just don't find it. So we need to fix, I just want things to not bleed into each other. The problem is the code would have been easier to write if I just had one script that handled the UI and the player in terms of the tools, right? So that would have made the code way easier, but I think that's spaghetti code. And I think that some things we should have separate. However, the original way the add-on did the items, I think they did that dirty. You have item and then interactable and then collectible, and each one is a script that just, you know, this could have been an email, right? This is one of those meetings that could have been an email situation. You don't need an entire script just to declare things, and then you're only going to use it for that one thing, right? But I guess if you have a game where you have different types of items, so like, for example, now that I have this stuff that you can collect and it dies, and stuff that like clones, you know, kind of like the Roblox, like once you interact with it, it clones, maybe that's useful, I guess. However, it really does depend on the game type. I don't see why in any world would I go here, create new, and then I'd find a cup and a knife. You can only, it would make more sense to just have them once, and then like, yeah, I'm just picking up a seed and putting it down here. You don't have to use it in any sense after declaring it as a node. So that kind of goes against why you'd want to make a node. I think I'll keep that for now. I know I've not covered everything, and I'm just trying to keep my videos bite-sized. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another one. Bye!